Hello and welcome to Detroit and You. I'm John Hill, and today we're going to go to a journey of real estate in Detroit and why real estate in Detroit is so profitable. Why, if you live in Detroit or if you invest in Detroit, it's the right time, the right place. We have real estate expert and coach with us, Herb Strather. Herb, how you doing today, man?
I'm glad to be here, John, my man.
I'm
Yes,
glad
sir.
that you are here, Herb.
Yeah.
Really glad. So there's a lot of great things going on in Detroit. Not only are they building up the downtown, which we're down here right now at a studio,
Absolutely.
but they're also building up the neighborhoods. And a lot of people don't know about the neighborhood development and what's going on. But you have done over $2 billion of deals in real estate
Yes.
in the Detroit area.
Right.
Born and raised in Detroit.
Mac and Mount Elliott.
Mac and Mount Elliott. Born in a gas station, a matter of fact.
No, what the gas station
It was
there?
the gas station parking lot.
No. It was a restaurant there. It's a gas station now.
We'll get into that story, but tell us a little bit, Herb, about you and your background. So, on the serious side, you were born in Mount Elliott.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was born on Mac and Mount Elliott, which was the east side, but I got off the east side. Very seriously, I grew up on Herbert Street in Detroit. So
Herbert on Herbert Street.
Sometimes I'm referred to as Herbert from Herbert Street.
Right.
You know, when people did better in my neighborhood, John, they moved to Northwest Detroit in the lawns, green lawn, rose lawn, cherry lawn. And I often thought about how beautiful those streets must be. I actually thought there was roses on Rose Lawn, you know?
Right.
But they never came back to help little kids like me, I think, get out the hood. So I remember in front of my church, Bethel Temple on Herbert and 28th, just saying if I ever get out of this deal, I'm gonna come back and redevelop my community and help little kids like me escape the hood onto the good life.
Absolutely.
But I had some challenges. I was poor, old man waxed plenty of cars. All of these things that could be negative end up being positives. And my mother, a devout Christian at the church, and I stuttered a lot, though. I just had a great speech impediment, and I was actually in special class, you understand? So Optimist came along, held the oratorical contest, and my mother made me enter several times, and I practiced on my church. After 3 or 4 times, I won. I finally won. And as a result of winning the oratorical contest, I matriculated up to the district level. That means I beat out a couple of thousand people, but I was the runner-up finally. I didn't win the scholarship that they offered, but
Right.
but I won a scholarship.
Yeah.
I won a scholarship. I wanted to be the president of everything, and I became the president of Western International High School, despite me having a lower than necessary average to be the president.
Understood.
And I couldn't go to the class trip because I was poor, but I went to work for Chevrolet Gear and Axle while in high school. And, I was able to support my sister going on the trip. We graduated together. Then afterwards, I got terminated on the 89th day. That was a good thing.
Right.
Because then I left out, joined Bowers Real Estate.
Now, how old were you then, Herb?
I was 18.
18 years
I
old.
was 18 then, or maybe 17. I was probably 17.
So you started your real estate journey at 17.
At 17. I bought my mom her first house when I was 18 years old. And it's a very important thing. You know, I keep wondering about that. Let me see. I bought it I was 18 years old when I bought the house. It is important now because people can get kids started earlier, young people started earlier. It influenced my entire life.
Right.
And so, that got me started. And then I was able to, through certain methodologies, I saved up enough money and put it in the bank, $440, and they loaned me $400. They used my $440
Right.
to loan me $400. Go figure. I had to put the principal and the interest up.
down. Right.
But as a result of paying that $33.19, and I still remember it, you understand? Every month, I got good credit. So by the time I was 18, 19, I had like great credit, you know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. Let me ask you this, Herb, too, and I know we're talking about your past, your history, and
Yes.
how you got involved in real estate and why you love real estate so
Right.
much. But I want to ask you right now, because we're about to go into a break, but was the real estate market better then than it is now?
Well, I won't say better. This is the greatest real estate market I've ever seen in my life. You understand? Because there's so much buoyancy in the marketplace. You could literally find properties for thousands of dollars, a few $1,000s, and sell them for tens of thousands of dollars. And it all exists in this marketplace right here, and it's brought about because of regulatory stuff. The Dodd-Frank bill have caused a lot of it. Governmental policies that they meant to help, but has actually backfired and have depressed our real estate values, at the same time provided great opportunities, and also really great programs, mortgage programs that are exclusive for Detroit. And that's what we want to talk about.
That's what we're talking about. And we'll also talk about when you start buying houses, because there's a lot of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. They're looking at getting involved in some jobs, but they could actually start selling real estate now, start buying real estate, start investing, and really be their own boss.
Absolutely. And my burning desire, John, is to get these young people involved early difference. If the bug gets you when you're in your teenagers, you're going to be rich the rest of your life. You know, I've had a very, very, very good life, you know, and you know, even after once I really became involved, you know, it takes a burning desire. And once I became involved, coupled with that burning desire, it propelled me, you know, to the #1 salesman in real estate in the city of Detroit in the early 70s for several years. And it has propelled my life and my mission.
Okay, well, let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to start out in the 70s, but we're going to go super fast because we're going to get to what's happening right now in Detroit market. All right?
That's the deal.
All right. So we'll be right back with more Detroit and You. If you want to know about the real estate market in Detroit, how you can really take full advantage of it. And Herb wants to make sure that you're a Detroiter with Detroit DNA, so Detroiters actually will be the ones to, you know, really grab this real estate and appreciate the equity.
Absolutely.
So we'll be right back after these messages, and stay tuned for more of Detroit and You.
What if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
So we're back with more for you on Detroit and You. We're back with the legendary Herb Strather. So Herb, when we left off, we were talking about your career and the beginning of your career, your humble beginnings, if you will, in the 1970s. You bought your first house at 18.
Right.
Your first apartment building, when did you buy that?
My first apartment building was in 76. That would have made me 25.
25.
I bought it on the corner of Sussex and Finkel.
Sussex and Finkel.
It was a 20-unit building. We bought it. It was a fifth land contract. You know, you do a land contract, fifth land contract. By the time I made the first payment, the guy who at the very end, when they get it, it would be 20 days later. Everybody was upset about it. And I think once the check bounced, that was something. Everybody's check bounced. They said, man, get us out of this deal. So I owed 140 grand. I was able to refinance it for 140, but I discounted them 50 grand. And after my closing costs, I had $40,000. I remember it was in May of, I guess 1976. That was a long time ago. And I fell on the bed with the $40,000 check. I said, gee, I just made 40 grand.
Well, 40 grand, and how long did it take you?
It probably took 6 months or so. I mean, it was,
40 grand back then in 6 months isn't bad, because back in 70s, 40 grand was like 100 grand now.
Yes, it's no question about it. And you know, but then I really got earnestly started accumulating real estate in December of 1977 when I bought my first building at 190 units. Now let's understand, I did not have the cash or the credit really to do this, but I did have the necessary skills to find the deal and structure the transaction. And I structured a beautiful transaction where my partner then, you know, and I had to go out and find these people, just knocking on the doors, talking to people, they loving what I do, convincing them.
Your partners.
Yeah, that's how I got partners. Don't forget, you know, being 25, 26 years old, black in the city,
right.
I don't have rich Jewish partners, but I got the richest guys around. By the time I was 27, I was in with 2 or 3 of them. And this is what I'm saying to everybody, to you Detroiters. Those who have a burning desire to succeed, you can do it. The most important component is a burning desire. I'll show you everything else.
Well, let me ask you this, Herb. So you went out and structured the deal. You went out and found your partners. We're talking about this is back in the 70s,
right.
Early 80s. But you know, one thing I want to ask you, and we're going to get into more of the Detroit real estate
right.
and what's happening now, but these kind of things can be done today.
Absolutely, in a different format. Back then, they didn't have mortgages in Detroit on commercial and apartment buildings. It was unheard of. So almost every transaction was a land contract. And here, I convinced on my first transaction some partners to put $100,000 in the bank. It was First Independence Bank, as a matter of fact, back then. And they put the $100,000 in the bank. The bank took the 100 as collateral, plus the bank took a secured position in the land contract. It's an assignment of the land contract, and they loaned $190,000. That was the down payment, $190,000. So I made a $35,000 fee, and I bought 190 units. It was very, very exciting, and there was about $1 million worth of equity. So from December '77 to December '78, I paced myself and closed one deal per month.
One deal.
So by the time of December 77th came around, I had $25 million worth of real estate.
How?
I was, at that point I was 26. But you know, John, our adversities really help us more than anything. We get baptized by fire. And at Strather Academy, which all of this has led to me wanting to teach others, I have a burning desire to teach the future generation. And right now, the timing is right.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you, why is Detroit so important? You never left Detroit. You couldn't left Detroit.
Right.
You've done over $2 billion deals of real estate, and we want to talk about that $2 billion in a little bit. But why did you stay?
Well, you know, because this is where I was born, and John, quite truthfully, it's where I'm going to die. You understand? I just want to be right here in Detroit. And Detroit needs me, and I am a Detroiter, and so I'm committed. I don't want to live in the suburbs. You know, I'm not developing and buying the suburbs today.
Right.
You understand? I want to, and right now it's a very, very historic time because things are going to change. This is the most significant time in Detroit history since I've been born. And if we don't take decisive action, if we don't engage in our community, people are going to eat our lunch. They're eating our lunch right now with these illegal takings in foreclosures, which I like to discuss with you a little bit.
Right.
But I just want to kind of speed it up a little bit in terms of what my history has been. So in 1980, interest rates went to 20%.
Right.
I mean, that was something. I mean, I had all of this money out to the banks on money we had borrowed, because every deal we used the same methodology. We assigned the land contract and borrow. And all of a sudden, rates went from 8% to almost 20%. Can you imagine you having a few $1 million out and
at 20%?
Oh my God, it was really something. So, you know, I kind of rolled my sleeve up, sold some of the assets and rolled my sleeve up and gave somebody to manage. And then I started doing deals because there was distressed sales. And I did some of the biggest deals in southeastern Michigan. I did Hunters Ridge for $43 million. I sold for $165 million a portfolio of properties to the related companies. That's
Okay.
Steve Ross School of Business.
Right.
And I did a lot of business with Steve over the years. And the Jewish community really embraced me. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest developers were Hartman and Tyner and Slavics and Mel Keeps and these names here. And some of the Jewish community would really know what I'm talking about. And maybe not be so very familiar with young people today, but these were historical giants in the Jewish community. And they embraced me, and I did most of the deals. I was on the first name basis. The Muscovits, I bought 7 Mile Evergreen, 377 units. Now the Muscovits developed Somerset, for an example. I bought all of their properties in the city.
And you ended up selling, when you brought the casinos here, you sold, you know, the interest in, what was it, Motor City Casino? Or
We in fact sold the interest in Motor City Casino. Our total amount that we put up was $3.3 million. I think my investors put up $1.7 million, and I put up $1.6 million. And we sold it for about $160 million. So a lot of people made money. There was 60 people made $1 million, and I think 6 people made $10 million. So I mean, it was very significant. If you had put up 25 grand, you got back 550,000. The times were so good and it was so great, and everybody was just investing, and then the great crash came, and everybody kind of got wiped out. Psychologically, they took a very big hit. But me, I said, I've been to this movie before.
Right.
It was perfect. I said, I've been to this movie before. So we got engaged, and I dropped $90 million. I dropped $90 million, and I lost my $90 million, and I only had $70 million.
Right. So
I was $20 million under.
Right.
I went on the radio and I said, listen, I was on Mason's show and I remember saying, look, I'm under 20 million, Detroit. And I said it for 2 or 3 weeks. I made sure everybody understood that I've been to this movie before. And the thing is, you can always get your wealth back. Just keep a steady head and believe in the Lord. You know, the most important things in life is our health and our philosophy of life and things like this and our purpose. You know, aligning yourself with the Lord gives us these things. It's very, very important. Don't worry about money. You understand? People couldn't tell the difference when I had 50 million or when I was 20 million. You understand?
Right.
I was still Herb Strather.
Well, and that brings me to, so now we're talking about Detroit real estate and why it is so valuable, why it can be so profitable. And you have a lot of people, and that's what I was going to say, who really lost their money during that Great Recession that are scared to invest in Detroit now.
Right, but you know what? Their kids are not. Because the kids haven't been through the brain damage. So listen, Detroiters, I want to tell you something. If you mind, Detroiters, if you are too scared, bring your children. You know, let them get engaged and support them. And there are ways you can invest in Detroit. We can invest in Detroit that does not put you at risk. Now, back to
Detroit, and why is the property so hot in Detroit?
Well, see, for the reason, first of all, it is psychologically and regulatorily depressed. If I can just give a little story about how we got in this situation in the first place. After the Great Recession, you know, the banks, you know, they were lending money without, you know, credit checks, just stated values. It was just crazy.
Right.
So the great crash came and created all the opportunities. The Obama administration tried to do something really, really good that backfired a little bit, but we can take advantage of now. They made a deal with the banks that they could not, if someone lost their home through foreclosure, they could not go and sue them and get deficiencies. Deficiencies, the difference between what the house sold for at the auction, at the foreclosure auction, and what the mortgage was. There was a significant difference, and sometimes 90 to 95% of what the value was. It was very, very big.
So the banks got fully reimbursed?
The banks got 97% reimbursed, and they're still getting reimbursed today, although the guy in Washington named Trump is changing that. But there's a whole bunch of deals still in the pipeline, and this is important for Detroiters to know so they can get involved before this pipeline is cleaned out, because when the pipeline is cleaned out, it is over.
Right.
No bank in the world is going to take and just give away properties. Right now, they absolutely 100% give them away, and every day, I'm still getting that right now. They sit back and give the property away because they know they're going to get reimbursed.
But you know what's interesting to me, Herb, and I don't want to speed this up too fast, is that I see personally how much these property values have increased in just the past year.
Absolutely.
The past year.
Well, see, this is what you got to understand, and you know, this is why I've created Strather Academy and why we've created a real estate app too, I might say.
Okay.
Because it is not as easy as that. It is, some zip codes have exploded, some have just barely moved, and what is the difference, and where's the opportunity lie? And people say, Herb, you know, I don't want to collect rent. You know, there are methodologies you can help yourself and you can help your neighbors and you can help bring Detroit back that you don't have to take the risk. And there are predators right now that is eating our lunch. They have taken the sheriff sales, for an example. If you lose your house in the auction, you have a 6-month redemption right to buy it back.
Absolutely.
We have public people that are not defending that right. And right now, people who buy your home, they can essentially add $35,000 or any amount they want to, and so you buy it back for this amount. And if you don't buy it back for that amount, they will not accept the money.
Herb, how does this translate to Detroiters getting involved and making money and utilizing this equity? That's what I want.
A great example would be this. So there was a gentleman I was talking to, and he had a house on Devonshire that foreclosed in January. No. Now we're at the sheriff's sale every week, and we have every single house that foreclosed and what they sell for. They sell for pennies on the dollar. Now here's an example of how Detroiters could get involved. This home was foreclosed, say, for $80,000. The person never ever missed a payment, but the new service provider, and you know, homes get mortgage servicing contracts move all the time.
Yeah, right.
They said I pay 3 or 4 different people. Man,
right,
every
it'll be
few
Bank
months.
of America, it'll be somebody else.
So now the new service provider says, listen, we want you to take and escrow your tax and insurance payments. He says, listen, I've never not paid my escrow for my tax. He said, I pay them every August and January. He said, look, I've never
Missed the escrow, yeah.
So he just ignored them and just kept making his regular payment, his $460 payment. That's all he done. In December, they sent his payment back in foreclosed. It was the most amazing thing. So I went and looked on Wayne County and saw there was no taxes owed. There's no taxes owed in this house. They have foreclosed this man's house, and he never missed a payment. So when they foreclosed, the house sold for $14,000 at the auction. So
Right.
$80,000 or $14,000, they getting their money. You understand? Because they had an excuse to foreclose, and it's on and on and on. I can sit here and tell you all these examples, but how do we as Detroiters come together and help? First of all, I've created Strather Academy app. That's sarealestateapp.com. And we want to bring these opportunities together for people in Detroit who have 401ks. There's plenty of money in Detroit. We're one of the wealthiest places around still. This is how we can help this guy. I always say, look, let us go buy this house for $14,000 and we can sell it back to him for $40,000. Now, if he owed $80,000 and he is going to buy it back for $40,000, if he was paying $461, he's happy with his payment. He was never unhappy. He
Right.
can
You
keep
can make that all day long.
his payment. Let's say his payment is $400. You reduce it a little bit, and then you say you will sell it back to you for $40,000. If you don't miss any payments whatsoever, then you could deduct $10,000. So he's highly incentivized to make all of those payments. He is a good credit anyway because he never missed a payment. You understand?
Right.
So this is an example, whereas the banks are trying to hurt him by foreclosing, and now all of a sudden he can buy his property back for $40,000 and don't, instead of $80,000, lower his payment. And someone, the investor who's putting the money up, is helping him. And look at them. They take their 401k, and if they made $400, that's $5,000 a year approximately. $5,000 they invested, say $15,000.
Right.
I mean, that's a 33% return. And then when they sell the house, they get $30,000. They get some gigantic amount. Where can you get that kind of money from? Where can you get that investment? Where can you get that kind of safety from? And where could you do a double bottom line?
Understood. Here's what we're going to do, Herbert. We're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back after these messages with more Detroit and You and Herb Strather.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science, become the mayor or something, make the situation better for other people. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
Hi, this is Herb Strather, and we've just finished our very first Wealth and Development show. And I'm right here with my main man, Mark Denson, who shed a tremendous light on redeveloping Detroit. And this show will air every Saturday at 11 o'clock, and we want you to join us in the future as we look at tools and ways and methodologies and programs that we can improve our community. This is Herb Strather, and I look forward to seeing you.
So Herb, okay, so people have downloaded the app and they can download the app or they have signed up and they can go and sign up for the seminar. But what about the person that wants to? He says, look, I know I want to do real estate in Detroit. I've been waiting for an opportunity to learn. I want to go up and sign up for the class now. I want to start learning today. What can they do?
We have a whole library of 30 or 40 classes now.
That they can
you
start
can just start right now and dig in.
So if somebody wanted to start your class right now,
What would they do?
In theory, they can sign up for the class, start listening to those past sessions online.
Absolutely.
And okay, let me ask you this about your class, because referring back to these people who come in from out of town and they're spending, all this, you spend all this money to take the class. Their classes are out of town or online, all that. You don't get a real feel. This class that you're talking about, you actually come into a building, listen to a person, have hands-on.
Right, and one of the requirements to graduate is for you to complete a transaction. In other words, you have to complete a transaction. In some cases, it's just the credit. You can take literally and enter into a purchase agreement with someone to buy a house that have lost it in the sheriff's sale, but they got 6 months to redeem.
Right.
How about if you just put a mortgage on that house, take some cash out of it, share some of the cash with them, lower their payment. You could literally do a deal with absolutely no money. That exists today because they're selling the homes for 10 cents on the dollar.
So you get a chance to help somebody stay in their home and also make a profit.
Yes. And when you join the class, we're going to start you from day one, just forming an entity, an LLC, a L3C, what we call a skip generation trust. Form your family LLC. Put your kids in it. If you're going to send them to college, put them inside the LLC so that income that you may make, even with your job, if you get like a 1099, put your family in the LLC. They're not in a very high tax bracket. I have a 4-year-old daughter. She can sit on my lap and do a commercial, and I can pay her for that.
And you cover that in your classes. And
absolutely, forming the right entity so to transport your family to financial freedom. That starts off right there.
Do you have to be a genius or super smart to learn real estate or to really make money in this?
Look, I was a C- student on a good day. On a good day, John. I will compare my course to the guy that's charging 50 grand. I bet he haven't done $1 billion in deals, and he don't know how to do deals without money the way that we can show you how to do it. Because I'm not talking about something I read in the book. I've done thousands of transactions, and I don't put any money down.
Well, and plus I could say this, there's nobody in the world that knows Detroit and the metropolitan Detroit area like you do, and also is in love with Detroit.
There you go. And I am here to show Detroiters. So Detroiters, I got a message for you. I'd like you to come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright. Come and join us over at Strather Academy. And I want you to clear your mind. It's not just about making money, it's about helping our community, helping our family, harnessing the equity we have for ourselves. And I think that working together, we can do it.
Well, thanks a lot, Herb, for coming out today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
And thank you for joining us on Detroit and You. Stay tuned. We will have many other shows coming up talking with prominent and great people like the legendary Herb Strather. And stay tuned. We'll have many more shows that will take you inside Detroit where you can learn about Detroit, be a benefit to others, and really make your Detroit dreams come true. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thanks a lot, Herb.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Hi, this is Herb Strather, and we've just finished our very first Wealth and Development show. And I'm right here with my main man, Mark Denson, who shed a tremendous light on redeveloping Detroit. And this show will air every Saturday at 11 o'clock, and we want you to join us in the future as we look at tools and ways and methodologies and programs that we can improve our community. This is Herb Strather, and I look forward to seeing you.
Hi, I'm Herb Strather, a real estate developer here in Detroit. You know, I've been fortunate enough to close more than $2 billion in real estate transactions. In this holiday season, I would like to share my experience and knowledge with those of you who would like to extract the equity out of our community for ourselves, our family, and our future, rather than allowing others to eat our lunch. So I've put together a special presentation consisting of 4-hour video, an Excel spreadsheet, and a guideline, a performer guideline, how-to. All you have to do is go to stratheracademy.com or call 313-444-9691, and you will receive a 75% discount. And this is my gift to you this holiday season.